Every year, the Super Bowl crowns the best team in the NFL, but today, we're letting NFL Imperialism take over. But there's a twist. Commissioner Roger Goodell has hit the reset button on NFL history, launching the ultimate fantasy draft featuring every current and legendary player of all time. The Bills made a bold move selecting Lamar Jackson as a #1 overall pick. Meanwhile, Mahomes is now a Seahawk, Tom Brady is leading the Chiefs, and Joe Montana landed with the Cardinals. And that's just the first round. After simming the rest of the draft, every franchise looks completely different with a mix of all-time legends and current NFL superstars. The rules are simple. First, we spin the wheel to decide which team will go on the attack, then we spin the arrow to determine their direction. The two teams face off, and the winner takes all, surviving, expanding their territory, and even stealing one of their opponent's top players. The battle continues until only one team remains. Our first spin puts the New York Jets on the attack, and the arrow points southwest, setting up a matchup with the newly rebuilt Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets are led by NFL legends like Ozzie Newsome, Brian Dawkins, and Dan Fouts at quarterback. Meanwhile, the Eagles counter with stars like Adrian Peterson, Michael Strahan, Trent Williams, and Terry Bradshaw under center. Each game is played on 5-minute quarters, and our first matchup was a close one. The Eagles trailed by just 4 points late in the fourth quarter, with Terry Bradshaw leading a crucial drive down the field. It all came down to 4th and goal. Bradshaw takes the snap, no open receivers, so he tucks it and runs. He dives into the end zone, putting the Eagles up by 3. That was all they needed as the defense held strong to eliminate the Jets from this competition. Not only do the Eagles take over their territory, but they also steal a key player, bringing back Brian Dawkins to lock down the safety position. The wheel spins again, and this time it lands on the Green Bay Packers. Now, let's spin the arrow, and it's pointing west. That means they'll be facing off against their rivals, the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams struggled to find any rhythm on offense through the first 3 quarters. The Vikings finally broke through with the touchdown pass to Chris Chambers. The Packers fought back, cutting the lead to just 3, but the Vikings controlled the clock, picking up a key first down and kneeling out the game to secure the win. With the victory, they take over the Packers' territory and steal a defensive legend in Jack Lambert. Next up, the wheel lands on the Indianapolis Colts. Let's spin the arrow and it points south. That means they're moving into an unclaimed territory. No battle this time and no stolen players, but the Colts survive to live to fight another round. Jumping right into the next matchup, the wheel lands on the new-look Houston Texans, who are stacked with all-time and current superstars. Now, let's spin the arrow, and it's pointing east. That means the Texans are attacking the New Orleans Saints, who have Big Ben at quarterback, Randy Moss at receiver, and Eric Dickerson in the backfield. The Texans come out firing. Breeze connects with Jimmy Smith in the end zone for a 9-yard touchdown. After a defensive stop, Breeze strikes again, finding Rob Gronkowski in the end zone to extend the lead to 14. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, the Texans are clinging to a 6-point lead. Breeze has a chance to put this game away. He takes a snap, steps back, and fires to the sideline, and Gronk comes down with it for a clutch first down. A few plays later, John Riggins powers into the end zone, stealing the win and eliminating the Saints. With the victory, the Texans take over New Orleans territory, and they steal a massive weapon for Breeze, adding Randy Moss to an already dangerous offense. If your favorite NFL team does get eliminated early in this competition, don't worry, because many of your favorite players are scattered across the league, and they could be the key to victory in this ultimate imperialism. Next up, the wheel lands on the Bucs, and they are heading south to face off with the Dolphins. Both teams are absolutely stacked with amazing talent, but the Bucs are led by legendary John Elway at quarterback. The Dolphins struck early with a rushing touchdown by Marshall Faulk. But fast forward to the third quarter, John Elway connects with his receiver to tie this game at 7. Just as it looked like the Bucs were about to take control, they fumbled the ball, and the Dolphins have a chance to win it with a field goal. Chris Boswell lines up for the kick, and it's up, and it's good! The Dolphins pull off the upset, take all of the Bucs territory, and with plenty of star power to choose from, they decide to bring over John Elway to lead their offense moving forward. The Vikings are the next team going on the attack, and they are heading east to battle out with the Lions. With the addition of Jack Lambert from their previous win against the Packers, they're going up against a plethora of Hall of Famers like Troy Polamalu, Darrelle Revis, and Joe Namath. Despite the Lions' star power, they struggled to keep up as the Vikings dominated on both sides of the ball, scoring at will and easily taking over their territory on the map. They could steal away Joe Namath, but the Vikings instead bolstered their secondary by snagging Darrelle Revis. The next team is Jacksonville, and they can either attack the Dolphins or the Falcons, and after spinning that arrow, they're heading northwest to take on the Falcons in Atlanta. Brett Favre and Peyton Manning will be battling it out against each other, and the game kicked off with the Falcons intercepting a Brett Favre pass, which immediately led to this touchdown pass to Larry Fitzgerald from Peyton Manning. Atlanta controls the game from the start, and in the second half, they extend their lead when Keenan Allen fights his way into the end zone. Favre and his offense just can't keep up, and the Vikings keep piling it on, securing the win and expanding their territory on the map, while adding Lawrence Taylor to strengthen their linebacker core. Continuing with the next spin, the wheel lands on the Steelers, and the arrow points north, which means they have to take on the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, who held the #1 overall pick, selected Lamar Jackson. They have a chance to prove their dominance here. But the Steelers are also stacked with superstars, as you can see on their roster. Late in the game, Buffalo has a chance to seal the win with a touchdown, but Lamar Jackson throws a costly interception in the end zone, giving Jim Plunkett and the Steelers a golden opportunity to steal the game. But on 4th down, he steps back and throws underneath to Walter Payton, who is just short of the 1st down. With that, the Bills secure the win, expand their territory, and bring over Walter Payton to give Lamar Jackson another playmaker. The next 3 spins shake things up as the Vikings, Giants, and Texans all move into unclaimed territory. Jumping right into the next matchup, the wheel lands on the 49ers, and the arrow points southeast, which means they're heading into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Even though the Niners have the better team, they trail by 5 points. Needing a score here, Randall Cunningham stays cool under pressure, scans the field, and fires a strike to his receiver in the end zone. The Niners take the lead, but after failing the 2-point conversion, they leave the door open for the Raiders. With time winding down, Jake Plummer leads the charge, hitting Keith Jackson for a huge 24-yard gain, and goes right back to Jackson to get them into field goal range. The kick is up, and it's good! The Raiders pull off the upset, taking over all of San Francisco's territory and stealing Mean Joe Green to help their defensive line. Let's give the wheel another spin, and this time it's the Bears who get to go on the attack. And the arrow points north, meaning they have to go up against the Vikings, who have been pretty busy so far. On the other side, the Bears will be led by Aaron Rodgers? This doesn't feel right. I'm sorry, Bears fans. This game went back and forth, but it's the Bears that have a chance to take the lead late in the game. Rodgers leads the drive, and he was then able to hand it off to Steve Van Buren, who spins his way to the 2-yard line. On the very next play, the Bears managed to punch it in, taking the lead. And unfortunately for Viking fans, Mark Brunell threw an interception, and the Bears go on to win this one. The Vikings have plenty of territory on the map, but it now belongs to the Bears, and they opt to help Rodgers by bringing in Dave Casper as tight end #1. Spinning the wheel once again, and this time it's the Eagles' turn to attack. The arrow points west, which means they're set to battle the Buffalo Bills. Both teams already have a win under the belt, so this might be a really good battle. But unfortunately for Lamar Jackson and Bills fans, the Eagles came out on top, winning 14-7 behind a stellar performance from Terry Bradshaw, who threw 2 touchdowns with an 88% completion rate. After checking out the Bills roster, the Eagles make a massive move, stealing away Reggie White to dominate on their defensive line. The wheel spins, and Arizona is up next. The arrow points east, means no battles this time, just a free expansion into an unclaimed territory. The next team going on the attack is the Baltimore Ravens, who are led by Michael Vick at quarterback. Spinning the arrow, and it points northeast. And taking a look at the map, they have to take on the Eagles, who don't get much rest between turns. In the second half, Vick finds Antonio Holmes in the end zone for a touchdown, but Terry Bradshaw and the Eagles answered right back with a touchdown of their own. They do have to convert on this 2-point conversion though to tie this game up, and Bradshaw quickly finds his tight end, which means this game is heading to overtime. After the Eagles kick 3 on their opening possession, the Ravens have a chance to win it here with a touchdown. Faced with a 4th down, Vick scrambles out of the pocket and throws the ball to Evan Ingram, who tries to pick up the 1st down, and he does. And a couple of plays later, Vick steps back in the pocket and throws to an open Herman Moore, who takes it the rest of the way for the touchdown, and the Ravens win. Just like that, the Ravens take over all of the Eagles' territory, including some of the unclaimed states in between, and they now get to steal one of their superstars. The Ravens opted to steal away Michael Strahan to really beef up their offensive line. Back to the wheel of NFL teams, and this time we have the Kansas City Chiefs who get to go on the attack. Spinning the arrow, and it looks like they will be attacking east, which means they take on the Chicago Bears. Led by Tom Brady at quarterback, the Chiefs did not look good to start as the Bears scored twice in the first half. Fast forward to the 4th quarter, and despite their slow start, the Chiefs only trail by 7. But for some reason, Brady keeps checking the ball down, and the time is running out. One final chance. Brady steps up in the pocket, but he's hit as he throws, and the Bears hang on to win. With that victory, Chicago takes all of the Kansas City's territory, and since they already have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, they decide to strengthen their secondary by bringing in Night Train Lane. The next spin sees the Cardinals going on the attack, and they have to head north to take on the Broncos. Both teams are loaded with talent, and this game came down to the wire as the Broncos extend their lead to 10 with this passing touchdown to Torrey Holt over the middle. Joe Montana and the Cardinals answered right back, but unfortunately, the Broncos were able to run out the rest of the clock and win by just 3 points. With that win, the Broncos now control all of the Cardinals' territory, and even though Bob Greasy had a great game, they couldn't pass up on Joe Montana to be their new QB1. Plenty of teams still left in this imperialism, and this time the wheel lands on the Colts. The arrow points southwest, setting up a showdown with their division rivals, the Tennessee Titans. Both teams have stacked roster, with the Colts having Dan Marino, Barry Sanders, and Steve Atwater, while the Titans counter with Kurt Warner and Sean Taylor. Midway through the game, the Colts are driving, looking to tie things up, but Marino takes a brutal sack and the ball is out. Merlin Olsen scoops it up, and he's got nothing but daylight ahead. He's still going. Will he be caught? Nope. He's in the end zone. And that was enough as the Titans easily take down the Colts in this one, taking all of their territory. As for the player they decide to steal, Tennessee doubles down on defense, pairing Steve Atwater with Sean Taylor to form a terrifying safety duo. The map is really starting to take shape, and on the next spin, we get to see the Chargers going on the attack, and they are heading north, battled out with the Raiders. This game was all tied up late in the fourth quarter, and even though Arian Foster couldn't punch it in for a touchdown, the Raiders kicked 3 and go on to take down the Chargers, moving into their territory and bringing in Ty Law to join Patrick Surtain II. Continuing to see which team is up next, and the wheel lands on the Dallas Cowboys for the first time, and the arrow points west, take on the Broncos. This game was a defensive slugfest in the first half, but after halftime, both offenses came alive. First, Joe Montana found Travis Kelce in the end zone to put Denver ahead, but Josh Allen responded right back, using his legs to rush in for a touchdown of his own. It looked like the Cowboys were going to hold on, but then Montana finds Jerry Rice wide open for some reason, and he takes it all the way for the go-ahead touchdown. Unfortunately for Dallas, Josh Allen and the Cowboys offense couldn't mount the comeback in time, and the Broncos take over their entire territory. This might be a strange choice, but the Broncos decide to steal Dwayne Johnson to play right tackle for them. The next few spins saw some territory expansion, with the Texans moving north and the Titans heading southwest, both into unclaimed land. Then, for the first time, the wheel lands on the New England Patriots. Seeing the arrow, it points north, setting up a battle against the New York Giants. With both teams stacked with superstars, this game was an absolute battle, so much so that it needed overtime. Both teams failed to score on their offensive drives, and the Patriots can win it here with a field goal. The kick is up, and it's good! With that clutch win, the Patriots eliminate the Giants, taking over all of their territory, along with the unclaimed land to the east. And New England bolsters their defense by bringing in TJ Watt. With the next wheel spin landing on the Bengals, let's see which direction they have to attack. The arrow points south, and they have a tough matchup against the Titans. And this game was also heading to overtime as Dustin Hopkins hits a 51-yard field goal to tie it up. And in overtime, Evan Carter recovered a fumble, and the Titans have a chance to win this game with another field goal. The kick is up, and it's easily made. Give Justin Hopkins the MVP of this game. With the Titans managing to win another game, they move into the Bengals territory and add Micah Parsons to their defensive line. The very next wheel spin ended up landing on the Ravens, and they had to head west to take on the Troy Aikman-led Browns. This game was a hard-fought battle, but in the end, the Ravens edged out a 4-point victory to continue their dominance, bringing over Justin Jefferson, who now gives Michael Vick another playmaker on offense, and the Ravens also take over the Browns' territory. The Patriots are back on the attack, this time heading west to challenge the red-hot Ravens, who barely get a moment to breathe. With the game on the line, the Ravens had a chance to steal it with a first down, but they were stopped short, giving the Patriots one last shot to tie it up. But on first down, Budda Baker intercepts the pass, and that was all Baltimore needed as they secure another win, electing to steal away John Lynch to play safety, and more importantly, they expand their empire by taking over the Patriots' territory. The next couple spins saw some more movement as the Raiders move east into an unclaimed territory, and then the Titans head south into an open spot on the map. The next team to go on the attack is the Broncos, and they are heading southeast to take on the Texans. Despite both teams having 95 overall ratings, it was Denver that dominated from start to finish. The Broncos picked up a crucial first down late in the fourth quarter, sealing the win and eliminating the Texans from contention. And with that win, the Broncos take over all the Texans territory on the map and make a big move by stealing away Aaron Donald to upgrade their defensive line. The next team up is the Raiders, and the arrow points northwest, which means they can easily expand into an unclaimed territory next to the Seahawks. The Falcons are the next team, and they are heading north to take on the Titans, who occupy a fairly decent chunk of land at the moment. Two high-powered teams, and it was Kurt Warner who finds his receiver for the first touchdown of the game. Peyton Manning made some solid reads, but ended up fumbling the ball after a big hit, which was recovered by the Titans' defense. The Titans didn't waste any time and quickly drove down the field, with Deuce McAllister extending their lead to 14 points. And late in the game, the Titans scored once again to put this game out of reach. With that victory, the Titans now take over the Falcons' territory and make a huge addition to their defense by stealing Deion Sanders to strengthen their secondary. And just like that, we are down to just 10 teams. Only one can conquer the entire map. The Raiders are back on the attack, and this time, they're heading southwest to take on the Rams, who have a lot of current NFL talent on their roster. The Rams came out with a simple game plan, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and let him do the heavy lifting. In the red zone, Henry punches in for a touchdown, and the Rams have the early lead. But as the game progressed, it was all Raiders. The Raiders kept pouring it on, scoring touchdown after touchdown. Despite Ken Stabler trying to mount the comeback, it was Patrick Surtain who sealed the game with a crucial interception, and the Raiders went on to take down the Rams, expanding their territory once again. The Raiders also made a huge move by stealing 99 speed Tyreek Hill to add even more firepower to their offense. And right into the next spin, the Panthers finally get their chance to go on the attack. With the arrow pointing southwest, they take advantage of the opportunity and quietly move into an unclaimed territory on the map. Pin number 35 lands on the Broncos, and they're still the team occupying the most space on the map. But this time, they're heading west to go head-to-head with the Raiders, who just added the speedster Tyreek Hill to their roster. Both teams came out hot, with offenses clicking early, and right before halftime, Jake Plummer threw a low pass, and Paul Warfield made an unbelievable one-handed catch, giving the Raiders the lead. The Raiders up 10 points in the fourth quarter. It was Montana's time to shine, but he had to take risks to make a comeback. Unfortunately, a deep throw was intercepted, sealing the win for the Raiders. As a result, the Raiders take over all the Broncos' territory, strengthening their position as a dominant team in this NFL Imperialism. But they ultimately decide to bring in Joe Montana to be their new QB1. Keeping this going, the Commanders are the next team to attack, and they have to head northwest to battle it out against the Ravens, led by Mike Vick. Cam Newton and the Commanders used plenty of time in the first quarter, and they closed it out with a rushing touchdown by Thurman Thomas. But from there, it was all Ravens. The Ravens kept the pressure on with another rushing touchdown by Reggie Bush, extending their lead once again. The Commanders tried to mount the comeback, cutting the lead down, but they failed to recover the onside kick, and the Ravens held on to win by just 3 points. As a result, the Ravens add Myles Garrett to their defense and move into Washington's territory on the map. The next team going on the attack is the Miami Dolphins. Spinning the arrow, and it's north. They have a matchup with the Titans. This game was a back-and-forth battle between two stacked teams, and it came down to a one-score game in the fourth quarter. On third down, Elway had all the time in the world and finally connected with Golden Tate for a big gain. But after taking a huge sack, they were faced with a long fourth down. Step back, threw a pass, but it was dropped, and the Titans held on to win the game. With that victory, the Titans eliminated the Dolphins from the competition and continued their dominance on the map. As a reward, the Titans decided to bring over Charles Woodson to pair up with Deion Sanders. With only 6 teams remaining in this NFL Imperialism, the Raiders are the next to go on the attack, heading northwest to take on the Seahawks, led by Patrick Mahomes. This game turned out to be pure cinema, with both teams battling out in an absolute classic. The game was deadlocked at the end of regulation, sending it into overtime. And in overtime, Joe Montana threw a crucial interception to Eric Davis, and the Seahawks quickly capitalized on that turnover, Mahomes connecting with Chris Carter for a touchdown pass, giving the Seahawks a win and all the Raiders' territory. It's wild that the Seahawks, who only played one game, are now sitting on a massive chunk of territory, knocking out one of the favorites to win this competition. And after looking at the Raiders roster, the Seahawks elect to bring over Patrick Surtain to strengthen their secondary. I'm not sure if there's a clear favorite of the remaining 5 teams, but jumping into the next wheel spin, it looks like the Bears will be the attacking team, and the arrow points south, means they take on the Seahawks, who just took down the Raiders. Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes. Who will lead their team to the Final Four? The first half was all defense, but with the Seahawks taking the lead in the third quarter, the Bears need to answer back. Unfortunately, Rodgers is sacked and they settle for a field goal. One first down could win this game, but they failed to pick up the first. Can they make it a 7-point lead though? No, he misses the field goal as well. With no timeouts, Rodgers picks up a first down, but ends up taking a sack and the time runs out. Mahomes and the Seahawks pick up the big win, eliminating the Bears and stealing away Art Monk to give Mahomes another playmaker on offense. With that win, the Seahawks go ahead and take over all the Bears territory, including all the unclaimed spots in between. Let's go ahead and see which team has to go on the attack next, and it's the Panthers. Spinning the arrow, and it points west, setting up a matchup with the Titans. Joe Burrow is the quarterback for the Panthers, and he starts the opening drive with some great passing. Burrow connected with Devin Hester over the middle for a touchdown on third down, giving the Panthers the lead. Things quickly went from bad to worse for the Titans as Kurt Warner made a costly mistake, throwing an interception to Corey Webster, who took it back for a pick 6, extending the Panthers' lead to 14. After simming the rest of the game, the Panthers absolutely assert dominance, blowing out a really good Titans team. And with that victory, the Panthers now control all of the Titans' territory and decide to bolster their secondary by bringing in Hall of Famer Charles Woodson. With 3 teams left on the map, will it be Mahomes, Burrow, or Vick that leads their team to victory? And on this spin, we see the Panthers going right back on the attack, and this time, they're heading west to take on the Seahawks. After stopping Mahomes and his offense on their opening possession, Burrow throws an RPO to his receiver, who then turns on the Jets and takes it for the first touchdown of the game. Despite Mahomes answering back with a quick pass to Chris Carter, Mahomes made a costly mistake in the second half, throwing an interception. The Panthers made them pay as Joe Burrow threw a touchdown pass, extending their lead to 10 points. Mahomes continued to do all he could, answering back, but the Seahawks still needed a defensive stop. And unfortunately for them, Ricky Williams ran all over that defense, and a couple of plays later, Burrow finds a wide open Calvin Johnson for the touchdown. That was all they needed as the Panthers take down Mahomes and the Seahawks, taking over all of their territory on the map and electing to steal away Derek Thomas to join their linebacker room. It all comes down to this one final showdown. The Panthers, led by Joe Burrow, Calvin Johnson, and Charles Woodson, faced off against the Ravens with their own superstars in Michael Vick, Justin Jefferson, and Michael Strahan. The Ravens got the ball first, but their very first play turned into a disaster. Vick tried to go deep, but Vontae Davis read it perfectly and intercepted the pass. That set up Ricky Williams, who wasted no time carrying through the Ravens' defense. Once inside the red zone, Burrow decided to take matters into his own hands, scrambling and fighting his way into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. After Vick and the Ravens somehow failed to convert on 4th and inches, the Panthers' offense continued right where they left off, with Ricky Williams running all over the Ravens' defense. A few plays later, Burrow found his tight end for a clutch first down near the 1-yard line. But just when the Panthers were about to punch it in again, Michael Strahan came through with a big sack, forcing a field goal. In the third quarter, the Panthers continued to dominate as Henry Ellard found the end zone, extending their lead to 17-0. The Ravens' offense still couldn't find their rhythm, and on 4th down, Vick took another deep shot, but the ball was tipped by a defender, and Justin Jefferson couldn't come down with it. From there, the Panthers simply ran out the clock, completing the shutout and cementing their place as the undisputed champions of this new-look NFL Imperialism. If you enjoyed this video, you definitely want to watch this one right over here. The battle of the NFL's All-Pro team versus a team of Hall of Famers. I think you'll enjoy it, so give it a watch.